I'm going to, obviously. I think it would be a real shame to not participate in the provincial study. That does not mean there cannot be local governance initiatives going on at the same time and during that period of time. But it is quite amazing to me that we could end up with the province and the rest of the region having participated in a study, which will come up with conclusions, which will have recommendations, which will then probably be placed on the ballot in every municipality, whether they participated in it or not. That's at least a possibility, depending on what this recommendation comes out. But whether it does or not, it's a bit like saying we should participate in marriage counseling, but we're not going to go with our spouse. I mean, we're part of a region. What is the harm, for heaven's sakes, in finding out what the regional issues are, whether there are economies of scale, because you can have integration of services, you can have amalgamation. I have no idea where this is going to end up. I know what I would like, and it's not going to happen. And I'm realistic about that. But having said that, to not participate in a provincial study, to not have the funding available that is significant from the province to help us in that, the local governance process, I think, fits well into melding with the provincial study. Because part of a governance review locally will be to say, okay, if this is what's coming from the province, let's have town halls, if I'm allowed to say that word, and let's talk about it. Does this work for Saanich or doesn't it? Because there are many things that Saanich can offer to the provincial study, but there's also many things I think that we can learn from the rest of the region. And to suggest that it's only a one-way street, I think is being very short-sighted. And as one of the 88% who did vote yes, I was voting for a provincial study. It was the only question I was allowed to vote on, and I was here when the then council brought it forward, and I was very disappointed that we didn't have a more direct question, because I am quite sure the result would have been the same. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Jean-Philippe Desbouchards. I live at 2050 Parkview Drive. I'd just like to say that if we're doing a governance review of our community and how we're interacting with other communities, why are we not joining the larger picture, or not participating in a larger review with the province? My community is Gorge Tillicum, so I have family members that are on the Gorge Tillicum Community Association. But the Gorge Tillicum Community Association blends very easily with the Gorge Burnside Community Association. It is the Victoria Community Association. So why are we limiting ourselves to a line drawn on the land when you could be opening up to something much greater that can bring benefits, or just learning what the benefits could be? And there's a large fear of this amalgamation. But the study isn't just amalgamation, it's the integration of services. So if Vic PD and the Saanich Police Department can join services to save money, why are we closing our eyes to that option? Why are we not opening up to the possibility of improving our community or our municipality with the other municipalities? Thank you.
Are there any of the members of the public who wish to speak? Please come forward. Welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Your Worship, members of council and staff, my name is Stan Brigadier. I live at 847 Cameo Street. I came to listen this evening and not to speak, but after hearing some of the speakers, ideas were flowing through my mind. And what the last gentleman that spoke about using the word integration makes a lot of sense. I've gone through that in the military, by the way. Maybe the word amalgamation scares a lot of people. And it would appear to me, and maybe that's the word that the government wants to hear, so that they'll fund it only if the word amalgamation is used. I don't know. Maybe it's worth looking into. But it would appear to me that there should be a review of all of the options that are available, that could be examined for governance in the greater Victoria area. It may be integration in some areas of services, like police and fire and that sort of thing. There may be some communities that wish to be governed together in amalgamation, like the 4 core municipalities. But amalgamation sounds like all 13 municipalities will come together, which may not be the best option. So is there some way of breaking it down and having an analysis of a whole variety of options, and the word amalgamation doesn't necessarily be at the forefront? Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. speaker, please.
Good evening. My name is Harold Wolf. I live at 4169 Kincaid. And as some of you know, I've been coming up here for almost 20 years. I'm very passionate about Saanich. I've been working very hard at many different levels. I really like this place. And when I look at maps and I see that urban containment boundary, I see that that's the future. That's the future border between the core municipalities and the peninsula. And everything we've worked for to build this community will be gone. The duality of the urban and the rural is what makes is the heart of Saanich. I don't want to lose it. And I want you to fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Please come forward. Calling a second time, any other members of the public who wish to speak? I see your hand up at the back there. Welcome.
Hi there, my name is Jacqueline Kasler. I don't live in Saanich, I live in Victoria, and for the past few months I've been running a local government process blog that I call Victorian Analysis, and I look mainly at the city of Victoria, where I attend meetings and I live tweet, and I'm a bit of a nerd. And it's been interesting coming out here to Saanich. You folks are very lively and passionate and very engaged, and it's good to see. But so one thing I was going to say on the issue of the amalgamation study, and just picking up on what the fellow before me just said, is that it's a very large discussion to have on the idea of the 13 municipalities, and to just hand it over to the province is something I don't quite believe in myself, quite honestly, because it seems as though you're passing it over to a greater God in hope of a solution. And just as perhaps one possible alternative, I'll tell you how I spent my weekend. Very nerdy. I did an article the other day on my website where I provided links, consolidated links to all the 13 municipal official community plans and zoning bylaws. And so what I did on the weekend is I started doing an index of the definitions for these 13 zoning bylaws. And so does everyone here know that across the municipality there's 13 different definitions of basement and 13 different ways of talking about your building's height? Right? Like, it's just bizarre. And so I think the point that I'm trying to make is that perhaps a better solution forward than this catch-all provincial study is that folks need to look more at understanding through the Saanich approach of looking at your own governance, agreeing what your own governance represents, weeding through the hundreds of years of work and documents and records and policies established, agreeing what that is, and then looking to see what you can share. And just as one way, I would suggest that we could probably all agree to define basement the same way across the 13 municipalities. So I don't know if that's my parting message. Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? Calling for a third and final time. Any members of the public that wish to speak? All right, thank you to all our speakers. I'll call an end to the public input, and I'll move to item D on our agenda, resolutions for adoption. Madam Clerk, please read the first item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This first item is tender number 09. It's for asphalt paving works. The report of the Director of Engineering is recommending the council award the tender to Capital City Paving in the amount of $999,787.
Councilor Beth,
Move the tender.
any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please,
The
Madam
next
Clerk.
item is tender number 10 for the construction of concrete curb, gutter, and sidewalk. The report of the Director of Engineering is recommending the council award the tender to Island Asphalt Company, a division of Old Cane Industries, in the amount of $696,925.
Move the tender.
Second.
discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
And this next item is tender number 12, is the report of the Director of Engineering is recommending the council award the tender for the cold asphalt milling to Capital City Paving in the amount of $949,845.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Number 13 is the supply of hot and cold mixed asphalt. The report of the Director of Engineering is recommending the council award the tender to Island Asphalt Company, again a division of OK Industries, in the amount of $489,999.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
And this is the BC Hydro service to Austin Pump Station. The report of the Director of Engineering is recommending the council approve the purchase order in the amount of $207,794.
Move the recommendation.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item, please, Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This next item is the motion to support a provincially funded amalgamation study. This is further to the notice of motion received from Councillor Plant, requesting that council support the motion to send the correspondence to the provincial minister in regard to the provincially funded study.
Councillor Platt.
Move the notice of motion into an active motion for debate.
Second.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. When I was campaigning last fall and knocking on 9,500 plus doors, the top two themes that emerged at the doorstep amongst the residents was an amalgamation study and the fact that some new blood was needed on Saanich Council. Tonight, I'm only going to be talking about the former of these two topics. Let me first be clear. The motion I am putting forth is not designed to replace the governance review our residents overwhelmingly asked for. It would happen simultaneously. I believe this motion respects and actually improves the second half of the ballot question